The best of Monday Night Playground? It's a theater adventure. Coming up. Welcome back to Book Your Imagination. My name is Anne. If this is your first time to my channel, welcome. Tonight is the closing of Berkeley Rep's Monday Night Playground series. The Playground series is for emerging professional playwrights. They're invited to write a world premiere 10-page script on a predefined topic. A 10-page script translates roughly into a 10-minute production. This is great exposure for emerging playwrights, and it also gives the playwrights a chance to see how well their vision of the play translates in front of a live audience. So I'm meeting friends for dinner, and then we're heading over to Berkeley Rep to see the top 6 10-minute productions from the Playground series. So let's go. Some things that I said in the intro. I thought the Playground series was part of Berkeley Rep, but they're not. Playground is its own nonprofit organization that's dedicated to developing Bay Area-based playwrights. Their Monday Night Playground series takes place over at Berkeley Rep's theater, but their home base is the Potrero Theater in Potrero Hills in San Francisco, and that's where we were last night. The B-roll for this video was originally part of the Peter McKinnon B-roll challenge, which is a separate video, and I had planned to include this as part of that video, so there would only be one. I rather expected the evening to go like, I had dinner with friends, I saw 6 short plays, they were very good, thank you for watching. But the evening was so outstanding, this really did deserve its own video. So that's why the B-roll is in both videos. The reason this evening was so good is that after the plays were over, 4 of the playwrights stayed for a Q&A session, which I was able to film. So I'm going to give you a summary of each of the 6 plays and then the playwrights' comments.
I'm Rob Dario. I wrote Spiskammer, which in Norwegian translates into pantry.
Spiskammer was the first play, and the topic for this play was A New Beginning. This is the story of a husband and wife who are looking for an apartment. So the setting is the living room of the apartment they're looking at. The wife and the realtor go to the kitchen, leaving the husband alone on stage. So as he's looking around, he loosens his tie, and then he takes his tie off, and then he's unbuttoning his shirt, and then he takes the shirt off. And he keeps taking his clothes off until he's standing there in just his underwear. And then his wife comes back in. It is really hilarious.
So I came up with a beginning of looking into an apartment for rent, and then they get naked. Why would they get naked? And so the idea of beginnings started to fill in the blanks. A new beginning, trying to find a new place to live, going back home to live with the parents again, and then coming to this understanding of why he's feeling so upset, and she sees it as a totally positive thing that they went back home, so we'll start again anew. So those were the beginnings of it.
So the second play was called Factory Girls, and the theme for this was Philip Glass's string quartets number 2 through 5. So one of these string quartets played in the background through the entire play. There was very little dialogue. It was mostly movement, wasn't quite dance, wasn't quite pantomime, and the playwright was not there last evening. The third play was Anna Considers a Cocktail by Ruben Grijalva.
Cool. Our topic was In the Beginning, and I was working on a full-length piece called Anna Considers Mars, which we had a reading earlier today, some people there. and I was really stuck. It's a big, ambitious play about someone who wants to go to Mars and sort of a future world and all of sorts of technology and stuff. And I wanted to really find the character in that story, and so I took her out of that story and put her. But I knew that story was about beginnings. Going to Mars is a kind of starting a new beginning for humanity. And so I wanted, and in the beginning, it turned out to be sort of a serendipitous topic to then say, well, what's another beginning Anna has created in her life before the one where she tried to go to Mars?
The fourth play was Living Conditions by Lauren Gorski, and the topic for this was Reap What You Sow. This is a story of a young woman who hires a guy to come over to get rid of a ghost in her apartment. The play reveals that she knows the ghost. It's her boyfriend who is planning to leave her, so she murdered him. And the ghost is desperate to get out of there. This was both morbid and hilarious.
My name's Alanna McFall. I wrote Shit Farming for Fun and Profit.
This is the story of two women who live on a farm. One who has grown up there and lived there her entire life. The other is her wife who has lived there for the past 10 years. The wife wants to take a portion of the farm and turn it into a factory that will help the environment. The woman who's lived there her whole life doesn't want to see this change. So the setting is on the roof where they're watching the sunset. The twist at the end is when the daughter joins them on the roof and they're talking about how the sunset today is pinker because of air pollution. And the daughter innocently asks, when I grow up, will it be red? The sixth and final play was A Giant Story by Nick Sommerfeld. This is the tale of a Dublin Irish girl who gets home at 3 a.m. and her father is waiting up for her. He demands to know why she was out so late, and she invents this ridiculous story about finding a baby giant and then helping an elf get the giant out of Dublin.
I mean, the idea actually stemmed from when, or like the base of the idea stemmed from when I was in Northern Ireland visiting a friend, and he and his sister took me to the Giant's Causeway, and we were walking along the beautiful octagonal rocks, and we're going along, and my friend's sister turns to me and says, so people will tell you that like lava and like formations and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, there were these two giants. There was an Irish giant and a Scottish giant. And like she told me this story with the conviction of like, this is the proper history of Ireland, and don't believe any science that anyone tells you. Granted, it's a very silly play. And I remember finishing it and being like, well, this was fun, but it's not even going to get into Monday night. So you never know.
One of the questions from the audience is, how is writing a short play different from writing a long play? And here are two of the playwrights' comments on that.
Yeah, it's interesting. When I first started, I hadn't written a lot of short plays. When I first started here, I'd done a full-length play, and I found the short format really hard initially, really hard, because I just tend to have like big idea plays, and like it's hard to fit big ideas into 10 minutes. And now it's totally flipped on me, just because I think I've written enough of these short plays where I feel like they come really, because the trick is like, you only have to do like maybe 3 things well in the short play. You know what I mean? You got to have your like beats or double reversal. You have some sort of like, if you can fit in that structure, and you only have 4 days, so you tamp down your ambitions to like what you can actually accomplish in 4 days, which is kind of what you're saying. And then if you hit those marks, you win, right? And it's like you can be as quick as possible with it, and then you're out, and you can give people a taste, and people can imagine what's next. With the full length, you've got to sustain people's attention for a lot longer. So the ideas have to be able to carry farther. And I think what's happened to me personally is I feel like in having to write short plays that like are dense and have ideas throughout them and are communicating constantly and just are tight. It's made my full-length plays a lot better because like now my gauge is like, is this as engaging as my 10-minute play? Is this scene as engaging as my 10-minute play? And it's not engaging in the same way because it doesn't necessarily have a beginning, middle, and end. It might be just the middle or just the beginning or just the end. But it has to have that tightness throughout. You know what I mean? I want my full-length plays now to feel as dense and tight as like 10-minute plays. But then also they have to connect, right? The dots have to connect. So here we're planting something on page 2 that's going to pay off on page 9. Here, it's something on page 2 that's going to pay off on page 90, right? That's the main difference. It's like, can you make sure that you weave it through
To connect to your idea of time, I'm very new to playwriting, so the 10th page feels like I'm on the phone dialing 911, something is broken, please help me. And a long play, standard, maybe 2-act play, feels like you're preparing for surgery for years and years. You're waiting for an organ transplant and you have so much scope to cover.
So that was the best of Monday Night Playground. As always, this is #JMO, just my opinion. If you like what you see in here, please consider subscribing to my channel, give it a thumbs up, and leave me a comment below. Thank you for watching.